Hello everybody, it's Andy here from AM Media Games. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a cloth sim with something like a horror game where you have like a material covering like a mirror, a picture frame, maybe even a doorway, and the cloth sim is going to be then transported over into maybe exported is probably the better word, exported over into Unreal Engine, where we can then use a trigger box or even player interaction to play the animation of that cloth moving, to kind of simulate the player pulling it off, or even have it like a jump scare or a horror scene. As you can see in my latest YouTube short, I uploaded that. It's kind of like a preview of this tutorial. So what we're going to do is, this is currently in Blender 4.0. I don't know why I said 4.1. And we're going to add in a cube. I'm just going to shrink that down. Now this isn't going to be a fancy model. I'm just creating a basic functioning model just for the tutorial. I don't want to spend too long making detailed models for the tutorial because it just wouldn't make sense. Let's do that first, and let's just give a little bit of a rounded edge. Okay, so we have a model here, and let's do a floor plane. So Shift A to add the plane, to add a mesh into the level. So we have our picture frame or mirror or whatever it is, like maybe even it's a gravestone covered in a cemetery, and somebody's thrown a sheet over it because they can't live with the guilt of murdering their father, or I don't know, whatever you want to put in the game. So here we have a plane, and we have a very simple basic mesh, nothing fancy at all, but we need to add in some physics to this. So we're going to go to our modifiers, go to add modifier, and then go to physics and do collision. And I'm going to do the same for this. So we go to add modifier, physics, collision. Now we have collision on both of these objects, which means our cloth can interact with them. And I'm going to go Shift A, add a mesh, plane. Bring that up, make it a little bit bigger, just so it can fall over the top. And then G and X, move it over slightly, just so it falls this way. And we're going to go Control A, rotation scale, and then in here we're going to subdivide. So let's select our object, right click, and then subdivide. Shift R to replicate the last action. And that should be enough faces. So now that we've done that, we can add a cloth modifier to this. So add modifiers. So modifiers, add modifier, physics, cloth, and then we're going to click on these two little yin and yang buttons, which is our settings options. We're going to go to silk, scroll right down, and then we're going to go to collision. Set this collision quality to 4. Self collision, set self collision friction to 1, because it's silk. Silk is not that frictiony as a material. It's a new word apparently. Frictiony? I don't know. Okay, so that's everything done there. And then what we want to do is we're going to click on the spacebar, and we might get some errors, which is fine. Make sure we do Control A and set rotation scale for both of these objects and this one. And then click spacebar. We can see here, that's perfect. A perfect example of an issue that we're going to run into. Now, one of the fixes is if we uncheck single-sided and then click space. There you go. You can see here now that it's fixed the problem. So when you have it checked as single-sided, it will only register the collision on, for some strange reason, just on one of these faces. So basically, if you imagine this model is kind of split in half, the collision physics will, for the cloth, will only register the collision on this side. So what happens is that the model then goes through it, but then there's nothing on this side to stop the cloth. So you end up with this weird, let's do that again. you'll see when it starts to go through, it pulls itself into the model and then just goes absolutely insane and crazy. We don't want that. So to fix that problem, just select the model, uncheck single-sided, and press space, and that should fix the problem. Okay, so we're going to do a subsurface modifier on this to give this one a little bit more geometry, make it look prettier, and then click space. There we go. And then we have a really simple cloth sim. You can see there the cloth falling down and gathering, and it unveils this. But we don't want it to start like this, right? We don't want our cloth to be up in the air and then the player walks over and it's just like falling. We want it to kind of start kind of like maybe like this, right? This is where we want. So we can see here we're on frame 59. Let's go back to 60. So 60 is kind of where we want it to start, right? So what we want to do is, if I remember myself, let's go to, I think it's under physics, go to cloth and scroll down to cache, and then we want to do simulation start. So let's do minus 100, and then do, let's see, where do we want it to end? So let's go all the way back. So there's frame 60. When's the cloth on the floor? I'm trying so hard not to cough, by the way. So this is kind of the end frame that we want, right? So frame 250 is kind of the end. So I'd say that's about right. So let's do a bake. So let's bake our you can see here we started past 0, which is perfect. So we've baked our animation. So we've gone to frame 60. Actually, let's go back a little bit. So frame 20 is now going to be our start point. So we're going to select this model and this cloth. You can texture this as well in Substance if you've got that. You can texture it in Unreal as well if you want to. You might not get similar results or the same results, but it's fine. But how do we export this now into Unreal? So what we're going to do, I'm trying so hard not to cough. Let's just have a quick drink. So what we're going to do, does that count as a cough? No, that's just clearing my throat. Okay, so we're going to go to, make sure these two are selected. We're going to go to File. We're going to go to Export, and we're going to do an Alembic. So we want a .abc. We don't want to do FBX. We want to do Alembic. So we're going to select this and this, not the floor plane. So File, Export, go to Alembic, and then you can see here that we have our frame start time, which is going to be 20. So let's select 20. And what this is going to do is going to take that baked cached data of our animation for our cloth, and it's going to go, right, okay, we don't need everything below 20. So we're going to take frame 20, and then we're going to compile that data into a .abc or an Alembic file, and then we're going to transfer and export that over to Unreal Engine all the way up to frame 250. So we're going to select start 20, end 250, and what we can do then, we're going to do apply any subdivisions, and that should be it. Let's do a cloth over frame, fall anim, and then I'm going to export Alembic. Now that's done. We go into Unreal, and in here we're going to go to a folder. Let's do custom meshes. Let's do let's have a quick drink. Trying so hard not to cough. It saves on the editing time. Okay. I think I'm doing pretty well. So we're going to go to new folder. We're going to call this cloth over frame tutorial. I'm going to open that up and then go to import, and we're going to get our alembic.abc. Click open. Okay, so in here we want to get a skeletal mesh because we have an animation on the cloth, and we can import, I think it's going to take that folder, all of the planes objects in our scene. I didn't click the right button. That's fine. Let me cancel. Let's go back in. Let's select this and this. Let's go to File. Let's go to Export and do Alembic. And you can see here we should have. Yeah, it shouldn't export the plane. There isn't an option. I think what it does is anything that's interact with the cloth, it'll export, which is it's not a problem. We just need to know what it's called. So that's called. This is plane. So we're going to go with cloth, and we're going to go with frame. So let's open, double click, tap frame, so we know exactly what it is we're exporting. So let's go to export, and then we'll do Alembic, frame 20 and 250. We'll have to increase the scale inside Unreal. So let's do export, and then in Unreal we can then import this. Click open. Okay, so we have still in the same plane and plane, but that's fine. We'll uncheck that one and see what happens. So I'm going to go to skeletal, yeah, and then click import, and then okay. I think I selected the wrong one. Let's have a look. So this one, and this one, and then we go to export, Alembic, 20, and then in Unreal we want to import this, and then click skeletal, click import. Face consistent of 12 vertices. Oh, yes. I'm kind of glad that happened. So, in here, we have, if you look here, we have 12 vertices. What we need to do, let's inset these, and then delete those, and then take this edge, and then do face grid fill. It's a bit ugly, but it's fine for now. It's just a quick fix. So yeah, it needed good geometry. That should fix the problem. So we select this. I mean, errors happen. Sometimes it's an oversight, but sometimes it's really good that it does happen. If you run into the same problem, at least you potentially know the fix. So 20, make sure we change that 20 to 50, and then click export. This should work now. If I remember rightly, that is the fix for that error. Import. There we go, and it's working. It literally physically tells. What do you want, dog? It literally physically. Do you want a stroke? Come here then. It literally physically tells you what the error is, so you can fix that relatively easily. If it tells you that a face consists of 12 vertices and it's expecting equal triangles, equal quads, then you just basically need to have better geometry on your model by just doing an inset and doing a grid fill, and that should fix the issue. So now we have that model in. It's going to be really small because we didn't adjust the scale, but it's not a problem. We can increase the size of this model. You can see here that it's also imported the plane, which is not a problem either. We can quite easily fix that. But if I click play, we now have access to that animation. What are you doing? It's such an attention seeker. We now have access to that animation, which will keep playing in a loop. And you can place this in your horror games, video games, really easily as well. So if we want to get rid of that plane, so let's just delete that. Let's go here and here and here and delete those. We'll force delete. Let's do an import. Let's grab our Alembic file. And I believe is plane 1? Is it that one? Let's do import. Let's see what happens. Unable to compress animation data, no meshes with constant topology found with it. Okay. Okay, so it took that, but not anything. Okay, so I deleted the wrong one. So let's just double check which one that was. What the hell was that? So let's get rid of these. I do sometimes enjoy finding errors. Let's do import. Let's get that Alembic file again. Was it this one? So I need to uncheck that one. So then do import. Okay. So I deleted the cloth sim one by mistake. So once it's finished compiling all that data and it's transferred over the animation, I've done so well not to cough. Get a bit of love and praise in the comments, please. It's so difficult. The more I talk, the more I want to. So that should now be the object without. Oops. So here we can see we're increasing the scale. We can fix that easily in Blender by just making sure that the exported scale is correct. So if we press play now, you can see here that it'll play that animation for us, which is perfect. And if you wanted this to be triggered for a horror game, don't cough. If you wanted this to be triggered, what you could do is, if you select your animation, your object, and you've got it in your scene, uncheck looping, uncheck playing, and then in your level, go to level blueprint, and then in here, you want to, once you've opened your level blueprint and Unreal decides that it wants to go a little bit quicker today, there we go. Okay, so once you're in here, let's place this on the tab bar. Let's get rid of those two. Let's go and compile. Let's add in a trigger box. So let's do, why am I going content? Let's go to triggers, volumes, all classes, and then do trigger. Let's drop that in. And then we have our trigger box here. And we can extend that out, make it a little bit bigger. And we can see here now, we place that in the world. Let's place a basic object shape and shrink that down, spread that out. So we can see here now we have kind of like, let's do world location and let's paste that into our world location. So there we go, we have the trigger in the exact spot that the step is. Let's just make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So when the player walks in this area, so give you kind of like a scenario. You're making a horror game and you've got a large mirror or even a doorway or a cupboard or a unit or a picture frame, something covered by a sheet, and you want to animate that. You want to make it look really good. You want to have a really good animation of the cloth sliding off really slowly, with some creepy sound effects, really good lighting, and you want this to play, but only when specifically the player walks into a certain area, he picks up a certain item. Then you could use an event dispatcher for that as well. So this is an event dispatcher. This is a trigger event dispatcher, and oops, I don't want to press that. And then what we want to do is select our trigger box, go into our level blueprint, and then we're going to go to add collision, add on actor begin overlap. And then we don't need to specifically do other actor and then cast to. All this is going to do is wait for any overlap for any specific object. So if you have an enemy AI running around your map, you want to make sure you use a cast to for this like specific case. Otherwise, your AI, when it walks over this trigger, will also trigger that trigger box. So out of here, we want to get a reference to our cloth sim, go into our level, right click, create a reference, and then play animation. Oops. Play animation. There we go, like so. And then set that into there. And then the animation that we want to play is going to be, so if we click on here, right click, browse to asset, we want to select the green one, and then go into our level blueprint where we have this set up, and then just select here. Click compile, go into our level, play from here. You can see this big sheet covering a large frame. If we don't go in the box, nothing will happen. If we walk inside the box, you can see as we walk in, it triggers the animation, and you can see there it's revealed the object that we want to see. So I hope this helps with your horror games. I hope it gives you an idea and inspires you to do some more. If you like the video, please like it. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithms. If you don't like the video for any odd, bizarre, strange, weird reason, then feel free to hit the dislike button. I mean, it doesn't really help, but I mean, you know, it's your prerogative. I can't see why you wouldn't like someone trying to help people for free, but that's on you. Hit the subscribe button to help the channel grow. It helps me, and it helps you guys get more tutorials because it supports me, and I can then support you guys for free. I know these adverts now on the channel, that's just ad revenue. That's how I get something back for the help that I provide. And I'll obviously share this video with other people as well, because it'll help them learn. So thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye for now.